Say cheese.
Cheese.
There we go. Hi, my name's Keith Sly, and I've been involved in photography for over 45 years and with its history. Okay, I have photographed about a dozen weddings, been published several times, have used and or owned over 50 different cameras during this time, sold thousands of cameras and camcorders my job working for the Crazy Eddies, Wiz, Sears. Okay, and I've attended the New York Institute of Photography. Okay, my speech today is about the history of photography, and I'm going to break it down into three eras. The pre-mass market era, the beginning. Okay, the mass market film era, and the digital photography era. You'll notice photography has changed a lot over the years. Okay, remember, photography has not always been a point-and-shoot affair. Basically, the first cameras were just boxes with little holes in them, little pinpoint, like a little hole just drilled in a piece of wood, or they were like a very, very crude lens. They'd be made out of glass. There wasn't too many elements in them. You know, the modern lenses have a lot of elements in them, which helps correct, chromatic aberration, all the kinds of things with them. The first permanent photograph, remember, they did photographs at first it didn't take. They'd like fade away in a couple days, they were gone. Okay, it was made by Joseph Lepisse of France. As Dennis Korowatka states in his book, when he began experimenting with bitumen of Judea, a photosensitive asphalt varnish used in lithography, in 1826, Lepisse used it to make the world's earliest surviving photograph. I mean, it was crappy. I mean, you could barely tell it was a photograph, but you could tell at least it was an image. And it took probably about 8 hours to make. In other words, imagine sitting there for 8 hours taking a picture. You were just basically taking the lens cap off the lens, figuring out how long it's going to take, and then putting it back on. Okay, the first cameras were usually bulky and heavy. The first photographs literally took hours to complete, like I said, and you almost had to be a scientist, or at least very familiar with the very dangerous chemicals they used in order to take the photographs. You'd be in a room that was smelly. I mean, some of these guys ended up with all kinds of diseases, years later, because it affected their lungs and that. It wasn't a good thing to be doing. All right, the first war to be shot with the camera was the American Civil War. Matthew Brady was the most celebrated photographer of his day and probably one of the most celebrated photographers of all time, and recorded thousands of images during this time. Now I'll show you right here. This is a wagon that he used to cart around his equipment. Now you see what I got? I got a little bag there. Can you imagine you go to your friend's house to take pictures, you show up with your wagon, you pull all your equipment off, take you a couple hours to get all set up, and most things we got going today is over already by the time you get unpacked. Okay, and then let's see, to quote Mike Thompson, in September of 1862, the Battle of Antietam marked a photographic shift. Instead of merely showing soldiers in their encampments or torn up fields where blood has been spilled days or weeks prior, some of Brady's charges began to reveal a darker version of events in the form of twisted corpses. People were now becoming aware of the horrors of war. I mean, before then it was just romanticized, it was brought into their living rooms and their newspapers now. They could actually see pictures. But then something happened that would change the direction of photography as well as make it available to everyone. Bringing the camera to the masses helped tremendously to popularize photography. Remember, before it was very difficult. You had like the plates you'd use. You just couldn't bring it somewhere to have it developed or whatever. But in 1899, George Eastman, who among other things invented the word Kodak, asked his industrial designer, Frank Brownell, to build a camera that was easier to operate and cheaper than any then available. The Kodak Brownie camera appeared on the market a year later. It was made of jute board and wood with a 2-element lens, cost about $1, and used film that sold for 15 cents a roll. So said Newsweek in 1997. So the great thing about this now is, instead of using these single shots one at a time, you had a whole six pictures on a roll. And they also sold developing kits, so now you're no longer, trying to figure out on your own how to do this or whatever. Now you no longer have to worry about figuring out your own chemicals for developing. Now color, this is a very big thing, okay? It was always available. People think it was something that was like relatively new. It was always available from the beginning, but it became commercially available first when Kodak produces Kodachrome film, according to Modern Photography, on April 12, 1935. The Rochester Evening Journal ran a headline marking the introduction of Kodachrome, a revolutionary advance in color photography. So now everybody could enjoy color photography, not just professionals or these, or the the advanced amateurs. And then the next advance, a man's daughter was asking him, "But Dad, why can't I see them now?" This is the daughter's question that is said to have inspired Edward Land to devise the instant camera, eventually produced by his Polaroid Corporation. The camera was announced in 1947 and hit the market in 1948. Barry Schwabsky notes in his book. So before that, you took a picture, you had to wait till it was developed. It's like, let's say a very important picture like a wedding. You get back all your pictures, whatever, oh crap, they didn't come out. That could really suck. So now you can take a picture, you knew it came out. In July of 1969, the first photos ever shot on the moon were with a Hasselblad 2¼ square camera. For the first time, someone had taken pictures that were literally out of this world. And then camera finally went mainstream. But the next step in the revolution, thank you, would change the landscape forever. Digital photography started out as more of a gimmick, and now has almost totally replaced film cameras, even among seasoned photographers. I think they actually stopped producing Vericolor, which was the photographer's mainstay. I had friends who were actually buying it and putting it in the freezer because they couldn't get it anymore. Okay. According to Justin Mullins, the first commercial electronic camera system able to record and transmit still video images was tested at the Los Angeles Olympic Games in 1984 by Japanese camera company Canon. The pictures it took were published the next day in a Japanese newspaper. The experiment worked so well that Canon decided to put the camera on the market. Remember though, this is very, very low quality, newsprint quality. Okay? Also was a commercial failure. It didn't actually work out because you need this like huge item to carry around, and really nobody wanted to do that. It was very expensive. In Popular Science, December 2002, it was stated that in 1990, Dicam introduced the 995 Model 1, the first digital camera with 1 megabyte of memory, enough to store 32 376 by 240 pixel black and white images, basically a quarter of a megapixel. The images were really crappy. I actually remember, playing with one, and I wasn't impressed. Okay, today there are many different styles of camera to choose from, all of which use digital film or media. Browsing Canon's USA website, I found out the following. The point-and-shoot cameras become extremely popular. Is probably familiar to everyone here being capable of having a pixel count of up to 16 megapixels. That's this guy right here. Just like your normal everyday, this is a Canon camera right here. This one actually is only 12 megapixels. Okay. Their digital SLR cameras are from 12 to 22.3 megapixels. The one I got right here is only about 18. It does the job. Okay. Which, besides the larger sensors, result in a more detailed picture. See, not only the megapixels determine how good of a picture you get, also the size of the sensor. The little one there only has about a half-inch sensor. The larger one that I got right there, that's only a APS-C style. That's 2/3 the size of a full-size sensor, which is 24 by 36 millimeters. So basically it's like 2/3 of that. Okay, most cameras now have video capability, so we're even capable of recording in 1080p, which is, if anybody has like a good HD TV, 1920 by 1080, it's full HD resolution. Okay, As you can see, photography's come a long way. Okay, my conclusion, photography has evolved from the complicated, from which only a dedicated and privileged few were able to take advantage of, to more modern film cameras which are made affordable to the masses, to finally the modern digital cameras of today. And photography has evolved tremendously over the last 185 years. With all the technological advances of the last 185 years, the end result has always been the same: the capture of our good times and bad times for future generations. And the end.